What's happening, guys, and welcome back to the channel, where for today's video, thanks to Shozy Store, we're going to be checking out the DNA Design DK-42 upgrade kit for the Transformers Legacy Evolution Animated Universe Prowl. Now, if you would like this or any of their other upgrade kits, then definitely be sure to head down to the links in the description box below. But let's get cracking. So first up, here we have Prowl's armor fully transformed into its sidecar mode. Now, once again, DNA Design are doing something which Hasbro would never, that being giving the fans exactly what they want, as I've always thought his samurai look was the better between his two designs, and they have done such a banging job in basically just updating what already was such a great design. So as we check out the details, really nicely sculpted and painted here for the wheel. This does rotate, which I thought was pretty cool. As you guys can see, they've basically just chubified this to better blend in with the whole G1 aesthetic that they gave to Prowl, but the way this thing's been put together is very similar in design to how the original 2008/2009 Samurai Prowl armor transformed, so I thought that was pretty cool. Check out the seat details as we flip it here to the underside. All of the weapons and all of the accessories can snap into the base, so you're not left with pieces just floating and hanging about, so that's pretty cool. In this form, it is one complete unit. That's really awesome, and in terms of the plastic quality, pretty much on par with the actual Legacy Prowl figure himself. So once you do unite this with that figure, it really does feel as if though it is one complete unique release. But let's now armorize Prowl up with the power of Yokitron. So for this, you are going to want to whack out this attachment, which does just peg into the rear wheel of Prowl. Once that's done, we can then whack out the sidecar, attach this here onto the side, and this looks banging. Like I said, this was by far my favourite design for Prowl in Transformers Animated, and they did do such a great job in updating it. I really like how they rounded off the front part of the windshield to match what we saw here from Legacy Prowl, and trust me guys, it's about to look even better once we transform and merge them in robot mode. But before we do that, let's whack out the original version for a comparison. And as I've said, it's just such a brilliant update. The original design for Prowl had a very sharp front end, whereas the Legacy version was a lot more rounded off, and the same goes here for the sidecar. This one was very pointy, whereas Legacy has just been updated to better suit with that universe, and it looks brilliant. As we spin them here from a bird's eye perspective, you can already see the similarities in the engineering. I thought Prowl was a great character on the show, but undeniably, when he got this samurai armor, I thought it basically just turned what was a 9 into a 10. He was awesome, and with this sidecar attached, yes, Prowl can still roll out, so he should have no issues at all in pursuing Lockdown. Now, I know the sidecar is awesome, but this is only one mode out of 3. So to kickstart things off for the second mode, you're going to want to take the wheel, set it here off to the side for now. We can then spin here to the underside, begin taking these staff weapons and just hinging these here forwards, just like that. Then you're going to want to come to the transformation of the actual sidecar itself. So take these pieces, angle these here out to the sides, do the same here for this. You're then going to want to split this piece here directly down the middle, just like that. Now we can take the helmet. It is on this hinge joint, so hinge this here all the way up to the top. Now what we can do is straighten out these skirt pieces, just like that. Take these shoulder pads, hinge these up, set this here off to the side. You'll then want to whack out these staff accessories, which do combine directly down the middle. Now, one thing which you're going to want to make sure of is that this tab is facing in the opposite direction to this little slot. There is not another one of these on the back piece of that, so you have to make sure that these are in opposite directions to each other. Now we're going to bring in this piece, hinge the blade down, flip this here upside down, whack out the staff accessory. Now this does pour into the middle, so snap that into place, making sure that this tab is facing towards yourself. So it should be facing towards the blade, just like that. Now we can bring in this piece, and you're going to want to make sure that it does tab on like this. So snap that into place. So from a back perspective, this is the detail that you should have facing towards yourself. And then all that is left to do is to combine the two pieces. So on the back of the armor, we have these two circular ports. For this configuration, you're going to want to use the left-hand side one. So this does just snap here into this piece. If you straighten the armor up to make it look a little neater, that is the samurai armor in its display mode, which I thought was kind of cool. It reminded me of when Batman kind of whacks out his armory in The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. You can have Prowl glaring at this just before he's about to go into battle against Lockdown. So this is actually a pretty cool alt mode. It was something that I don't think you could do with the original 2008 Samurai Prowl, and it is actually a pretty cool look for display. But now we're going to jump into the third and final mode, which is prepping the samurai armor to be paired with Prowl himself. So the first step would be to completely remove the armor away from the shield and the staff. We can then take these pieces and completely separate those from each other. And in terms of the armor, unlike the original 2008 animated Prowl, the helmet is designed to be removed, which is a massive upgrade in my opinion. So set this here off to the side. We can then take these hinge joints here and just compress those into the backpack. And the next step would be to take the hip skirts. These are on slider joints. So for the combined form, you're going to want to shift these here all the way forwards, just like this, and do the same here for this side. I guess technically you could also do this for the display mode, although it is more required here for the combined form. Now is where we can bring out Prowl and begin merging him with the armor. Now I find it easier if you T-pose him, as much like the original armor that we saw on the animated Prowl, this does slide underneath the shoulders to form the shoulder pads. So take these here and hinge these sections down and out of the way. We can then take this post and slide it into this back port, so snap that there into place. Once that's done, we can then begin taking these hinge joints and just sliding these underneath these shoulders on both sides. The next step would be to then take the skirt armor and just begin positioning it in a way so that it looks natural to resemble what we saw from the TV show. We can then take the shield and combine this here with the port on the side of Prowl's arm. And for one final step of the combination, we can now take the helmet of Yokitron and slide this directly over the top of Prowl's head. And bang! Here we have Legacy Samurai Prowl, and I really think this guy looks pretty cool. As I mentioned, I've always been a huge fan of the samurai design for Prowl, and it is so awesome to kind of make over the Legacy version to now have that look. So as we check out the details, here we have the helmet of Yokitron. I will be real with you guys, I find it to be slightly too oversized. I think maybe they could have taken a chunk out of the back because it does look massive, especially from a side perspective. And to be fair, if you don't take these panels and hinge them backwards, it's kind of limiting in terms of articulation, but if you bring them to the back, unlike the original version, we do get a full range, which is so nicely done. I like how the armor, much like the original version, wraps on the underside of the arm to create the shoulder pads. The hip skirts too have been really nicely detailed and painted, so that's pretty sick. And I love the samurai shield. This thing looks brilliant. I mean, look at the nuts and bolts, the sick detail that we have here for the blade itself. And as we spin this guy around here to the back, there is not too much kibble at all. And I like how this has been painted and detailed so that even from the back it looks great. I really do think this is one of the best upgrade kits that DNA Design have released in a very, very long time, and it makes me wonder as to what other kind of armorized kits they could bring out for some other Transformers figures. Now, as we check out accessories, he does include 2 staff weapons, although I believe this one is the pre-order bonus. Been very nicely detailed in metallic gold, and I do think it is the better out of the 2. But in terms of the normal version, this too also looks pretty sick. Now, there are a few ways in how you can merge this with Prowl. The first one being, if you decide to keep it attached to this piece, you can kind of have it as being a blade which ejects out of the side of his arm, which I don't think is a bad look. The second way would be storing it here on the back, so we do get 2 slots here. You can peg this into either one of those, and from the front, I actually think that's a pretty cool look for this guy. And then the third and final way would be using it as an actual handheld staff weapon. Now, due to the design of Legacy Prowl's hands, you will have to split this into 2 distinctive pieces to slide this all the way through, much like we saw from the studio series The Fallen, but I think it actually looks pretty cool. It is a shame that the kibble kind of makes it so that it's off to a slight angle, but depending on how you pose this guy, I'm pretty certain you could pull it off and make it look natural. And with the staff, I really do think it completes his look. He is looking banging. And then finally, of course, we have to compare him alongside the original Samurai Prowl, which is such a brilliant figure. For this being well over 15 years old now, it's crazy how awesome this release was. But to me, in terms of engineering, I think DNA Design Samurai armor is better than this guy. They basically cherry-picked the best parts, so the way the shoulder pads kind of attach is the same, although the backpack configuration is a little different. And as I said, the helmet is a separate sculpt, which I do find to be better on the Legacy version, as it doesn't mean the posability is restricted like it was here on the original version. I just thought it would be kind of cool to compare Legacy Samurai Prowl throughout the past couple of years. Of course, in terms of animated accuracy, the original is still the absolute go-to, but for the Legacy universe, this is looking really cool. And so, wrapping up on this review, overall I think this is a really great set. Definitely one of the best DNA design kits that they've put out in the past couple of months. I mean, it is a great improvement to Legacy Prowl, who I did think was a decent figure, but with this upgrade definitely does make him look better in my opinion. And I am kind of biased as the samurai look, as I've mentioned throughout this video, was my preferred design for this character, but the engineering of the sidecar is just so impressive. You know, when it is in its sidecar form, it looks very faithful to how it did originally appear back in the show. The transformation is not too complex. I really like how there is a third display mode that you can get out of it. That's pretty cool in terms of displaying. And then once you smack the armor onto Legacy Prowl, it is so cool. As I mentioned when we just checked out the comparison, they've basically cherry-picked the best parts of the original engineering, yet have sprinkled in a few new touches to make it better. I also like how everything is on a ball joint, so it can easily be moved out of the way depending on how you want to pose this guy. My only issue with this, and it is a minor one, would be I find the helmet to be slightly too oversized. I definitely think they could have taken a percentage of the back off, but all in all, it definitely does turn Legacy Prowl into a better figure, and without a doubt, this is how I will be displaying this guy on the shelf for the foreseeable future. I'd love to get your thoughts on this upgrade kit down in the comment section below. If you are after adding this to your collection, then be sure to check out those links in the description box. I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review, transform and roll out!